Hello everyone, this is AmberAnkNA here. Welcome to my channel. Well, I play a variety of games and do narrations for fanfics. I'm really hoping you enjoy my content. If you do, make sure to comment below, leave a like, and subscribe with the notifications on. Right, until next time, this is AmberAnkNA. Welcome to my channel. So, hi. So for the only option left being chapter 4 time for day 2 of the live streams month. So the only option left, chapter 4, Path of Least Resistance. The almost unavailable blessing wind felt like tiny invisible razor blades, and the dark, shadowy void seemed to ascend and stretch through the folds of reality. Cross racers of memories twisted and molded together like a ball of wax in her head as she could feel her physical body hurrying through space. For several moments of uncertainty, fail, and unstruck thoughts, a through lane of confidence straight past the spiky peaks of terror. Matt felt her daughter present and knew they were still together, wherever they were. The fast lights replaced the endless sea of darkness, and the haze from the empty express cleared, revealing a brick building like structures surrounded by street lamps that lit the whole area. She couldn't tell how long they had been traveling, or how far they had gone. But she immediately knew that they were nowhere near where they started. Master was relieved when she finally felt the grassy, solid ground beneath her feet while she was still gaining her balance. Constantly controlled thoughts returned as Max noticed several other people in the distance swinging inside the structure using the glass double door entrance. The arrival seemed like a blazing ground incident that should be seen for miles, but nobody appeared to notice. Shit, I've been here before. The tall blonde spoke from behind, startling her mother, who hadn't gathered herself enough yet to have noticed the girl. This is where I ended up the other time I glitched. Come with me. They swiftly walked past her mom, then motioned for the brunette to join her as she began walking the 100 or so meters to the law's building. We have to hurry. Where are we? Max confusedly asked, taking her first step forward since their arrival. Des turned and grabbed her wrist, forcefully pulling her along from the spot where she was standing. Her daughter was strong-willed and reminded her of Chloe when she was motivated to accomplish her task. Chloe, she woefully whispered to herself, remembering when she heard her wife's footsteps running towards them as they vanished from the kitchen floor. Mom will be fine, but we have to get there quickly. Get inside quickly. I'll sprain there. The girls hastened their pace and entered the building. The small foyer area smelled a bit odd and musty, and the furniture was about 20 years outdated. The main hallway led to a dead end where two thick wooden doors were propped open by the chrome-laid leather door holder at the bottom. There was a curved line in the carpet where Mr. Weekson had trailed away at the flooring for many years. They were among the last few stairs to end in the auditorium. and as they found two empty seats near the left center aisle, Des stretched down the chair, motioning for Max to do the same. When the lights were dimmed, the first racing begun. The brunette's eyes widened with wonder as she watched a well-dressed, glorious blonde soar from the wings of the stage into the spotlight behind a podium with purple logo that read Huskies. She was dumbfounded and amazed at the woman who looked nearly like an exact copy of her wife. Her hair was slightly longer, and she seemed to possess an aura of confidence, even though her soulmate didn't typically display. The curse of her words also flowed from her lips in a different manner than she was used to. Nobody else would probably have noticed the difference, but Max heard it immediately. There was no mistaking. This was not her Chloe. Oh, she loved watching this version of her best friend speak in front of a crowd of hundreds. The lecture hall was filled almost to capacity, but the back left row was practically empty. Nobody sat on either side of the goals for 4 seats in each row. Each lesson, the presenter spoke about time and space and the existence of multiple realities, while Max understood about half of what was being said. Most of it went way over her head. She smoked to herself so she considered later that each Chloe in every universe was probably the smartest person she knew. Okay. Just whispered as she leaned over to make sure nobody in the row ahead of them could hear what she was about to say. A younger me is gonna walk through those doors in a few minutes, super afraid and tense. She pointed towards the doorway they entered previously, which had been shut after the lesson began so light from the foyer wouldn't trickle in. It was a good thing I was here, though. I saved her life. She was motioning towards the woman on stage with a small bulb of her head. On her head. Small bulb of her head. A small bulb of her head. Okay. Max noticed a man uncomfortably sniffing around in his seat, one row ahead and a couple of seats down from where they sat. 20 goddamn years, and she thinks she can just fuck over my work? Damn scientific drivel. The man was clearly disgusted and not really happy with what the women on stage were presenting. A sour frown formed on the brunette's face, and anger flooded her thoughts. This wasn't even her Chloe, but a primal sense of care and love was kicking in to protect her. As she was about 3/4 of the way out of her seat and intending to approach the weird asshole to give him a piece of her mind, she felt a hand on her shoulder, pulling her back down. Don't! Des quietly spoke. I already took care of it. The man is dangerous. He literally tries to murder her later tonight. I followed him at the molester and, well, shit got even stranger. I gripped again, just as he was about to attack, and I took her with me. Damn, Des. That's wild. Max, very confused about what they just heard, considered the information with a detailed awareness. So, what do we do now? Just wait? At the last 2 words, the memory of a nightmare she once had projected through her mind. A feeling of despair crept into her heart, and she started feeling uneasy. Yeah, we need to lay low and let the events play out. That's one thing you taught me that I take very seriously. We don't mess with time unless we absolutely have to. But her life was saved, and that's what matters. I think. I didn't tend to help her. I was stuck in this universe, and she looked so much like Mom. I had to follow her because I was freaking out and didn't know what else to do. It just so happened I grist again at the right moment. Plus, there's sort of this plan thing in this universe I'm beginning to think I need to start taking more seriously. Plan thingy? I said, hoping to refocus on the present rather than being consumed and overwhelmed with thoughts of the past. Even though her nightmares had been gone for a year, someone so vivid they brought her heart if she ever thought about them. And most had to do with losing Chloe one way or another. It was as if the married couple had treated death numerous times, and her trade-off was having to experience bad dreams for the rest of her life. Having her partner's love in her heart and a daughter that was equally theirs, light and hope that had dispelled her darkness. Master and Chloe were each other's purpose mass, and despite the trauma of their experiences, they made each other whole and healed each other's wounds. I tell you about it after we leave. I was too sick and shit to try my power before, but my skills and confidence I have grown. I have a theory that there are residual effects when I travel. It's like the path of least resistance. All we need to do is follow the breadcrumbs. Hearing Jet's voice as she worked through her thoughts was music to Master's ears. Her daughter was so much like her wife. It filled her heart to the brim. The heavy entrance door slowly creaked open, casing light into the room, causing a bit of distraction to the register. Her voice caught for a split second, then she continued with her presentation. The door shut behind the tall, red-streaked blonde who walked behind the audience and popped against the far side where she stood in the shadows. Master Death watched the goals from the seats and saw how sorrowful she was from the realization that she was working at another version of her mom. Her neck cranked inward towards the speaker, and her body language showed she barely believed what she was witnessing. I was mesmerized by her. I'm pretty sure I didn't even look around at the crowd, but just to be safe, we should probably stay low and out of view. The teenager lowered herself in the seat, and her mother did the same. Even though Max didn't understand most of the terms and physical sciencey melodrama, she felt a sense of what the beautiful girl on stage. She, too, was involved by this other Corey. Suddenly, Max felt a strange, unexpected sensation in her mind and heart. A circular pattern of energy pulled at her mind and with a tiny tug. The tugging slowly grew to a point where she started to feel embarrassed. Her cheeks grew pink as an unexplained force was digging into the most infinite and psychic surfaces of her skull. Even though it felt like an intrusion of some private aspect of her heart, all she wanted to do was allow it inside to fill her up. It felt so sweet and warm that nothing else seemed to matter. She couldn't resist it anymore, so she opened her mind, heart, and soul, full of being engulfed by a radiating and powerful bond. A sudden flash of orange and white erupted through her vision, which quickly subsided. A tear slid down her cheek as she realized who it was now with her. Chloe? She intensely whispered like a private conversation was taking place in her own brain. She watched with an empty thought as the familiar voice on stage sounded about her work. Max didn't know how she but felt her favorite person looking through her eyes and was seeing what she saw. She slowly turned her head towards her teenage daughter to show her wife that Destiny was with her and safe. I feel you there. Fuck! I was so worried when we left. Max! The love of her life silently sighed. God damn it! Where are you? All I see is death and like another me on stage. The physical bodies were countless universes away from one another, but the space between didn't exist. The pelvic pail was connected even deeper than the cardiac level. The water extended past all reality and furthest beyond space and time. When they were little pirate kids running around Cave Bay, they hated it when they had to leave and go home. Not spending time together was physically and mentally painful. They used to say they were always together even when they were apart. At the time, it seemed like a phase that just helped each other pass the time when they couldn't see one another. Now they knew, without of a doubt, they were always together and were never truly apart. Crow, how are you here? I mean, this is fucking beautiful. This wowzer. Damn, you feel amazing inside of me. Are you truly insane in the brain? Master's body trembled with the same sensation as the night they conceived destiny. They let out a plausible moan and couldn't tell if it was heard out loud or only in her mind space. Either way, it didn't matter to the brunette. The two girls had held tightly to one another in what could only be described as pure selfless love. Somehow her lover had tunneled through and combined the bond in a merger of infinite devotion. The embrace felt warm, tender, and enduring, and she didn't want to let go. For a moment, nothing else mattered. She could exist inside of this connection for all eternity. Slowly, the focus shifted to the present, and through the brunette's eyes, they both lost what was taking place on stage. The alternate, almost cocky Bond standing behind the podium seemed to be finishing a lecture. In conclusion, information I is the true driver of reality, and a single S, which is data with a six-dimensional vector IC, can affect a data from the receiver independent of causal effects. You can find my full paper for review in the department's archive under Index 1007. Price Chloe E. Are there any questions? Without warning, like a powerful vacuum, the connection broken was sucking away. A very real looking light pain bobbed inside Master's soul. Through broad cheeks, the brunette grimaced and grunt like causing Jess to notice something wasn't right. She bent inward and put an arm around her mother's shoulder. Her head cooled down in her seat with elbows on her knees and her face in her palms. Shit! Mom, are you okay? The girl's voice crackled with concern. It wasn't the worst pain she fiercely experienced, but mostly she felt drained and drained of all energy. An abrupt severing of their connection at that level felt terrible. It don't look so good. We need to get out of here. The lecture had ended. The crowd was exiting the auditorium. It was a great time to blend in and disappear up the aisle and back through the foyer. Let's help Amanda to her feet by putting an arm around her to act as a crutch, tussling at the hips so she could offer support. As they hobbled out, there was a great close encounter with the younger desk, but they stayed hidden by mixing in with a crowd of grad students who were walking on the opposite side of the foyer outside. Once outside, the woman went over to the Metro bus stop bench that wasn't too far from the lecture hall. I'm fine, Des. Thank you, Max offered as they plumped down on the bench. That was rough. What the hell happened? One minute you seemed fine, the next you made some weird animal-like sound. Should have sit out of me. The arms were made around each other's backs. Not for physical support anymore, but for killing embrace. Max stirred to her feet and stretched her muscles, arms around her head and tiptoeing. She released her outstretched limbs and fell back on the bench beside her daughter. The brunette mother had no idea how to explain what happened or why she acted the way she did. but she knew she needed to try. She still felt a bit weak and remembered they hadn't eaten anything since the festival order that day. It occurred to her that, after soaring through space and time, she didn't actually know if it was the same day. Do you know somewhere we can go around here to get a bite to eat? I'm starving. I wasn't really here long enough. Literally grist in, grist to another spot, fell asleep, and grist back home. I didn't expect to have a casual stroll around town, picking up the fucking local fare. This seemed frustrated and behind restricted eyes, Master could see her daughter's mind working in overdrive. They strand the area noticeably like she was calculating her next move. Just like her wife, the wedd's big bond could get agitated easily. As tough as they both tried to seem at times, the shorter girl knew it was thus the merit for dealing with stressful situations. We had a bus stop. Let's just get on and find some food. I think we could both use some time to get to know each other better. What do you think? How can you be so calm at a time like this? We're in a different goddamn universe, and I have no idea what to do to get us home. I was lucky as shit to find my way back the last time. Again, the girl's tone sounded less like Chloe's. And Max knew she was only lashing out because she was disappointed in herself. You're so damn, so like undisturbed or something? In the past, present, and future. Look, don't be hard on yourself, the older girl tenderly spoke. We'll figure this thing out. Chloe and I have been through some crazy shit that felt much more hopeless than this. I'm not worried because, well, I love her and I can feel her inside me everywhere I go. We find our paths back to one another like we always do. My answer is to get back to her? Of course I am. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna wheeze hell about it. We got this, sweetheart. The younger girl took a deep, noisy breath, then released the hot air from her lungs. Her facial features softened, the corners of her mouth slightly angled upward. She gazed at the ground and shifted her weight on the bench. Can I ask you a question about that? I could never ask you this in my time. And I don't know why. It's tough to explain. You feel more like a friend here for some reason. Anyway, did you always, you know, always look? The bus traced around the corner, cutting the teenager rows off. It pulled up to the bus stop where only the two girls were waiting. Max and Jess were allowed past as well, since the university was part of the Free Wise Zone. They could easily be mistaken for students, one being 18 and other still working youthful in college days. After sending the free shift to enter the bus sitting area, they noticed 4 or 5 students passengers spread out, all sitting alone. The mother-that's daughter pair sat in one of the first rows together near the front onboarding session. Matt slid her arm around her daughter's upper back and pulled her in to cuddle. The girls resisted at first, then snuggled in. When Dot relaxed and laid her head on her mother's shoulder, the brunette felt a lovely warmth float through her heart. It was a nice hugging the teen, and she agreed that it felt like she was getting close to a new friend rather than being a figure of authority. She was very much looking forward to eating dinner, not only because she was famous, but because she couldn't wait to really get to know the girl better. They only had a few brief moments to chat since she arrived, and most of the time they were discussing time travel. As important as it was to understand Death's powers, Max was just as interested in who her daughter had become, maybe even more so. They sat in silence during the 5-minute ride to the stop with multiple restaurant options. The bus let them out on University Way, and the scent of various cooked meals, meats, and other meal items wave through the breeze around the buildings. Looks like we have quite a few choices. Des, anything in particular you like? I'm as hungry as hell. Burritos. A tall girl quickly responded. Literally my fave. The spotted burrito place, I'm all about it. You mean cereal's not your favorite anymore? Shame. Max joked, then nudged her daughter with a gentle sword. It's still sort of weird seeing you as a toddler than an adult in the same day. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'd be sorry but cereal nuts if you put it in front of me. The mother-daughter pair stared a grin and continued walking. They passed a dozen restaurants they hunted for the perfect spot to eat. For about 10 minutes they strolled upon a Pimpito Mexican grill. There! The younger girl pointed. I knew we'd find a place. Sounds great to me. Matt toward the door and followed behind as they walked up to a vacant counter, anxious to order their meals. She motioned for her daughter to order first, and she set about working her way down the bar with confidence. Barberta, black beans, brown rice, guacamole, sour cream, salsa, and cheese. Instead of regular cheese, let me get some queso, but don't smother it, please. The girl knew exactly what she wanted, and it was grilled burritos were indeed her favorite food. I also take a medium soda. After her order, Mass worked her way through the same process, deciding she wanted a Surfer's burrito bowl and a water. Once the order was completed, the final cost was shown on the register display. Mass reached in her back pocket where she typically kept her ID and credit card. When she didn't have her bag with her during the festival, she left it at home for lighter travel since they would be running around the trail and she would have to carry the tartar at some point. She hadn't thought about it previously, but figured items traveled through universes the same way they did through time with a wing one. So items should still be with her. It suddenly occurred to the brunette that she placed her belongings in the diaper bag for concentration reasons. Shit, I left my credit card back home. She searched her pockets again and looked back at her daughter who only shrugged. I guess you don't travel with money, Des. Wait. The cashier broke in. He moved the metal spike receipt holder and picked up a handwritten note from the counter beneath. Is this note for Destiny? He asked. The girls slowly turned their heads and, with wide eyes, walked onto one another, turning back. The taller of the two responded, Yeah, that's me. The cashier handed her over the note and smiled. It's covered. Looks like your lucky day. It's not luck. It's destiny. Max looked downward, smiling as she muttered to herself. Des rolled over, then snugged the note and placed it in her pocket. The girls grabbed their drink cups and meals and found a booth in the far corner where they placed their items. Returning from the beverage dispenser and settling in, the teenager shifted her weight sideways to reach in her pocket. She fished the note and back out and read the message aloud. For Destiny, we're nowhere near even, but this is I saw it. A friend. Who's the friend is? Well, you'll find out who the friend is through other stories, basically. A friend? Mouse asked, straining the restaurant to see if she could spot the person who gracefully paid for the meals. What friend did you make here besides the other girl you saved? Remember when I said I saved her but grist again right after? Well, we found ourselves in another timeline with two others. They were in a house with some crazy looking equipment. I honestly can't recall much more than them working on some sort of big plan. I was really terrified and panicked the entire time. That's unwrapped the foil and pulled back enough to expose a portion of the burrito beneath. Max watched as her watched her take a bite much larger than her mouth stood aloud, and she giggled to herself. Besides looking nearly identical to the Baron's wife, the girl stuffed her mouth to the exact same way. No doubt this was her soulmate's messy daughter. Oh, the teen blurted out with a mouth still half full of her dinner. I do remember one was in a wheelchair. That's why for a second, not remembering details about events he was experiencing. It sounds like a casual case of shock. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Des. She hated knowing her little destiny was in for a wild ride, but she would be lying if she said she didn't expect it, at least to an extent. She was her and Chloe's daughter with powers of her own. That meant things would always be extraordinary in her life, and she would be forced to overcome obstacles. It's fine. You're sort of grown accustomed to strange things when your parents are Max and Chloe. And, well, when you can travel through time, Death stripped her beverage and then smoked from behind her disposable cup. Max couldn't help but think how beautiful the teen smile was to her. Maybe all parents are biased, but there was something incredible in sharing a positive moment with the girl. Honestly, I didn't even know if the grit sit was real at first. I figured it was just a weird dream or something. She took another oversized bite of her meal and looked back up at her mom, who had begun devouring her own burrito bowl. So, wanna tell me what happened back there? You seem to be in a lot of pain, some pain at the lecture hall. Ma swallowed her most recent bite, set her plastic fork on her napkin, then took a sip of her water. With her mouth and throat were cleared, she responded, "It was your mother. She was inside me. It was like our usual connection. I can always sort of feel her in the background. She was actually here. I know it sounds crazy, but she could see through my eyes somehow. We existed as one. Then something happened and the connection was pulled away. I don't think anything bad happened, but it felt terrible being cut off so abruptly. Holy fuck, Mom! That's bananas! I mean, it doesn't surprise me if I'm being real, but shit, that's different than time travel. She dropped and took a deep, airy breath. Do you know how fucking cool it is to be around your love? I know it's normal for a teen to sort of hate their parents sometimes, but I never felt anything but love from you. We had our differences, sure, but we're more similar than I used to think. I don't know. Not to get too mushy and sick, but I love you. I'm glad you're here with me. The girls enjoyed sales smiles resisted the tears that were beginning to form. So we reached out and the women cupped each other's hands in the middle of the table above the food. There's something I want to ask you. I saw her ask at the bus stop, but didn't have the time before we got on the bus. So, well, she took a moment to sip her soda, then continued, have you always well, have you always been attracted to girls? Like, before Mom? Did you always know you were, oh. Max responded in a little caught off guard. She had honestly never really thought too much about it. To her, life was meaningless without Chloe, and she was in love with her best friend. This felt natural to her. She knew her success would infrequently put her and Chloe's relationship in the spotlight, but she never outspoken about what the love meant to the broader community. Well, your grandparents were all in male-female relationships growing up. It seemed like a man and woman were supposed to be together. But with your mom, none of that mattered. It was obvious to me that her love, body, and love were what I desired. I never questioned what that meant to other people. is what it meant to the two of us. I guess to really answer your question, I thought I was attracted to guys at one time. It took your mom's love to help me realize that I never actually was. Does that make sense? Mom's silence followed the brunette's response, like a thunderclap in her mind. It luckily dawned on her that the younger girl might be asking for a specific reason. Yeah, it makes sense. The girl lonely stared at her empty beverage cup after leaning down and swapping the straw, resulting in a muscular amount of melted ice water slipping to her mouth. Is there anything you want to talk about? I'm here for you, you know. I always be here for you, Des. Max looked into her daughter's eyes and squeezed her hand a little tighter. There was this girl in high school that I really cared about. It was probably just a crush. We never even really talked. She was a track star. We got a scholarship, I think. Anyway, I was always scared to try and get close. Your mom kinda got to learn about your power together. But also, you had the pirate years before you knew about the rewind. And the choice was already there. I get to if I get close to anyone, I really have to bring them into our world, you know. It's terrifying, Mom. You two knew you were meant to be together pretty much from the start. What if I fall in love with someone but it doesn't work out? One thing is for sure, the older girl began. Love is the only thing that matters in this world. If you fall in love, you have to be vulnerable with that person. There's so many reasons we don't need to tell others about our powers. But I suspect when the time is right, you know. And yeah, you have challenges neither of us ever face. Corey's taken me on dates, but I never had to do the dating thing. See, it was always the one. So it was always my perfect person. Max didn't know if her words helped, but Dust released her hold and took another bite. After swallowing then wiping her lips and the corners of her mouth with the last remaining napkin, the teen let out deep, gulping bolts. This completely shifted the mood from serious to casual. They both giggled, then collected their garbage to take to the trash bins. Max realized they would either need to figure out how to get home soon or they would need to sleep. So they decided sleep was the most important thing at the time. And they could rest for a few hours and get up and work on getting home in the morning. Following a meal at the restaurant, Mess and Destiny strolled towards the bus stop and traveled back to the lecture hall they were in earlier that day. Upon arrival, Mess just checked the front entrance doors, which were locked for the evening. She convinced Mess to let her break in and then rewind once they were inside. The brunette didn't want to do it at first, but after feeling Chloe inside of her a few short hours before, she understood that she would need to familiarize herself with the rewind once more. As they planned, Dust busted the door open and the girls ran inside. Once in the building, Max held her daughter's hand and rewound to a minute earlier, so the lock was never busted. It felt nice to release the pulse again, but a part of her still remembered how Tom ended up. He had the rewind before she did, and he grew mad over its power. Because of her limited uses and her soulmate's love, it never impacted her the way it did him. They walked through the dark foyer and back to the flooring where they sat in the merely accursed chairs. They leaned sideways and rested their heads on one another, and thus fell asleep within a minute. Max was exhausted as well, but it took her a little longer to clear her mind. She wanted to feel Chloe again, more than anything in the world. It was comforting to be around Des and feel their connection. But she missed her wife. Tomorrow they would do whatever it took to figure out how to get back to her. But for now, she was very much unnecessary. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hi everyone. This is in 2000 again. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Because, I really did enjoy making it. But, so I hope you enjoyed it. Comment, like, and subscribe with the notifications on down below. Till next time, bye!